What's up guys, Sean here, and today I'm going to give you an update on a video that I did more than a year ago about the bathroom policy over at Starbucks. In April of 2018, I released a video on this channel entitled The Starbucks Story, and in that video I covered what was then a viral video about two black dudes getting arrested at Starbucks because they asked for the bathroom key, but they weren't paying customers at the time that they asked for the bathroom key.
What did they get called for? Because there are two black guys sitting here meeting me?
Yes, I didn't know like black guys.
Well, what did they do? What did they do? Did someone tell me what they did?
They didn't do anything. I saw the entire thing. I
What
asked
did
in
they
the
do?
bathroom, and the woman says for paying customers.
Now during the course of that video, I broke down what happened in that story step by step, and I explained how the police were not possibly in the wrong because they were called in to get people out of the store that the store owner or the store manager claimed was trespassing in their store, and whether or not the racial animus that was attributed to the person managing the Starbucks at the time by people in the media was true or not, the police had an obligation to remove those two gentlemen. I also talked about how the police told them, look, you guys have to leave, because if you don't leave, we have to arrest you for trespassing, and then those guys refused to leave, and then they were arrested for trespassing. When the police come in and they tell you, just leave and we'll leave you alone, what they're saying to you is that we don't want to arrest you. If a business manager, business owner, or any private property owner makes a call to the police saying that there is somebody on their property that they don't want there, it doesn't matter what the rationale or the reasoning for that call being made is, because the police aren't there to adjudicate that. They know who owns the property. They know that the property owner can choose who is and is not on the property, and they have to deal with those facts at the time. Secondarily, I also defended the owner of the Starbucks because it is not atypical at all for any business location to have a bathroom is for customers only policy. Also, while many Starbucks across the country do not have this policy because at the time this was left to be determined by the store owners or the store managers or the franchise owners or whoever based on their circumstances, I knew that this location was in Philadelphia, and since I live in New York City, I am well aware of the fact that stores with a lot of foot traffic tend to have this bathroom policy. In fact, prior to this whole controversy, the way that gaining access to the bathroom in a New York City Starbucks worked was you would buy something and then printed on your receipt would be a numerical code that corresponded to the keypad which was locking the bathroom. You punch the buttons from the receipt and you can use the bathroom. AKA, the bathroom is for customers only. Now, of course, because we live in the most ridiculous times, this was taken as a racial incident. Instead of Starbucks enforcing the same exact bathroom policies that they enforce in most major metropolitan areas, this was considered the manager of the Starbucks targeting these two gentlemen because they were black. She didn't like the color of their skin, therefore no bathrooms. Starbucks, on its own, is bringing back Jim Crow. Now look, there are a lot of dumb and cynical people working in the media. There are a lot of people who profit off the idea that racism is omnipresent and it affects every aspect of our lives, and racism creeps out in all these different ways. So I understand the clickbaity side of the internet jumping on this story and trying to present it as something different from what it actually was. I mean, honestly, to give you an idea of how little the media had a clue at the time that this story was going on, there were tons of attractive women, like women attractive enough to be on television, going on TV and talking about how in their lived experience, when they went up to the Starbucks counter and they asked for the bathroom code, whether or not they bought anything, they got the code every time. And since these women tended to be white women, they decided that the difference was racism and not the fact that they were really attractive women who likely are the same kind of women who would get free drinks from random dudes at bars. And I laughed because I'm like, do they attribute their free drinks to racism too? Like what planet are you people on? Obviously, attractive women get treated much differently. When I was in college and I needed to use the bathroom and I went into a Starbucks, on 3 separate occasions, I was forced to buy something in order to use the bathroom. I'm not black if you can't tell. Now, I know a lot of you are like, okay, Sean, I remember that story or I don't remember that story, but who cares about that story? It's well over a year ago. Why are you talking about this? Why are you bringing this up? Now, the reason I bring this up is because a couple of weeks ago, I decided to take a lady to a musical in the middle of Manhattan. Yes, she was very attractive. Yes, if I showed pictures of her, you would be amazingly impressed. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is after the musical, I felt the need that I had to use the bathroom. And if you know anything about these theaters in the middle of Manhattan, when the show ends, that line is enormous. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna skip this line. I saw Starbucks around the block. I'm gonna walk to that Starbucks and go use the bathroom. Because anybody can use the bathroom in Starbucks, because after that incident I was talking about, Starbucks decided to let everyone use the bathroom at Starbucks because, bathroom for customers only policy is somehow racist or something. Whatever. So I go into the Starbucks and I walk to the back where there is a bathroom and I see a sign and the sign says employees only. So I start looking around and I don't see a public bathroom in the Starbucks. So I know somebody who works in food service. So I go walk to the front and I start counting the number of seats in the Starbucks because according to New York City law, the number of seats in your location determines whether or not you have to have a bathroom for customers on hand. And wouldn't you know it, there was one less seat than the legal requirement to have a bathroom on hand. And on top of that, there was a space where there clearly was a seat that had to have been removed at some point. So I took note of that in my brain right here, or right now. I'm not exactly sure where in my brain I decided to store this information, and I knew that I had to check on what was happening since Starbucks instituted the free bathrooms for everybody regardless of customers. And unsurprisingly, so much so that I predicted it in my previous video when they first instituted the new bathroom policy, this policy has been a complete and utter disaster for Starbucks. Since Starbucks decided that using bathrooms at Starbucks are natural human rights, even if you're not a customer at Starbucks, foot traffic at Starbucks has dropped 6.8%. That is a 6.8% drop in monthly foot traffic. Now, before you nerds start typing that correlation doesn't equal causation, Sean, way to jump the gun on this one. Yeah, that's obviously true. And if there were similar drops in other coffee shops, then that would probably not be a causal effect. However, that is not the case. It's not that people are losing interest in coffee or even the Starbucks high-end European-style cafe coffee. Foot traffic in similar style cafes in the same general area is actually up. And on top of that, the rate of decrease in foot traffic at Starbucks locations is actually double when you factor in the proximity to homeless shelters. You see, as I pointed out in my original video, the reason that Starbucks locations in major metropolitan areas are far more likely to have had these bathroom policies is due to the homeless population. If you don't have locks or some way of preventing people who are not patrons at your store from going into your store, then the homeless will flock to your locations and they will occupy your bathrooms and scare away your customers. They also make a mess, and it's one thing to clean a public bathroom for your customers who are actually giving you money. It is a completely other thing to ask your employees to clean up after people who aren't even making money for your store. This is a money-losing proposition on behalf of Starbucks. But it's not just the numbers. If you run a Google search of homeless and Starbucks, you will see thread after thread of everyday people asking why the local Starbucks that they used to be patrons of now seems to be a makeshift homeless shelter. Like, a lot of people didn't see the original story about what happened in Philadelphia. A lot of people didn't hear about the announcement that anybody can just waltz in, stay as long as they want, use the bathroom whenever they want without ever becoming a patron of Starbucks. So they just saw a bunch of homeless people showing up and they're like, didn't this not used to be this way? What is going on here? And that's not even the worst of it. If you go into a Starbucks and you happen to find yourself using their bathroom, be sure not to buy anything if you want to use their bathroom because you don't have to. You might see a new receptacle for a new kind of waste in the bathroom. And of course, I'm talking about all these Starbucks locations that are installing used needle deposit slots for all the used needles that are ending up in Starbucks bathrooms. Now, you know for a fact that when you go from a relatively high-end coffee chain with a wealthier than average customer base, Starbucks customers are like upper income earners mixed in with like hipsters and trendy types, to having a needle deposit box in your bathroom, that maybe you didn't really think through your bathroom policy and you didn't really think through nationalizing your corporate bathroom policy instead of letting the individual stores make their own determination. I mean, is it really a better idea to have created an environment where people are comfortable using drugs in your bathroom and leaving needles around that could expose your customers and your employees to dangerous and infectious diseases that are transmitted by needle? Is that really the preferable option to standing up for your employee to two customers who created an incident and were in fact trespassing? I got news for you. I and most other people would way rather have to buy something to use the bathroom than risk the chance of going into a bathroom and accidentally getting pricked by a foreign needle. But here's the thing, even Starbucks, who showed unbelievable weakness immediately backing down when they were 100% in the right and nothing racial or wrong happened, knows that they cannot continue on this path. Even Starbucks knows that one person getting pricked in their bathroom and contracting HIV or hepatitis or some other disease on their watch will sink their business way worse than a video that people have mostly forgotten about, and people would have mostly forgotten about had Starbucks just stood its ground and let the story die. And that brings me back to my little trip to the theater, the employees only sign that used to be a public bathroom, and the missing seats in that Starbucks location that I could tell used to be there. Because Starbucks, the place more than any other, that's entire business model rests around free Wi-Fi, grab a coffee, sit in here, stay all day, do your work, write your book, has decided to open a number of pickup-only micro-locations across major metropolitan areas. Now look, Starbucks says that this is all about being more innovative. It's about reducing the rent in their major metropolitan areas because rents in cities like New York and Philadelphia are completely out of hand. They say that they want you to use the app more to order so that you don't show up to the store, wait online, and then make your order. But the timing is a little bit curious, and the locations that they're experimenting with this is also a little bit curious. Because as I said, it appears that not only are they changing locations or opening new locations as pickup locations, but they're changing old locations that used to have bathrooms to not have bathrooms. And again, it is the complete polar opposite of what their business is, what they're known for, who they are. Their very identity as a company is antithetical to a pick up and go place. It's a come in, stay for a while, work, and buy some stuff kind of place. Now look, I predicted everything that would happen to Starbucks and that came to fruition that I showed you proof of in this video, in my original video when they first instituted the new bathroom policy, except for these micro locations. These caught me off guard. The expansion of these, I know they existed before, but Starbucks' new commitment to them, I did not see coming. But let me know what you guys think. Is Starbucks in a little bit of trouble here, or do you think they're going to be fine? Do you think their original reaction, changing their bathroom policy, was a good decision or a bad decision? And do you think that the reason they're focusing a lot more on these pickup-only locations without any bathrooms is due to the fact that they are regretting their bathroom policy change? You guys know what I think, so fill the comments with your brain thoughts, but that's all I really have for you guys today. If you like this video, then please show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias. If you want to support me, Teespring Store, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal, and Subscribestar. This has been me updating you on the Starbucks story. Till next time.